Episode 281. It is an encore indeed. Jalie Palko her and I were in this very studio about a year ago, and she was on for her first interview. And inside of, I said it's going to should be a phenomenal 2021 for you, and it was indeed. She went from level 2 to level 4, doubled her income, and she's on a trajectory now to hit 100,000, crack 100,000 W-2 in the next 12 months. So to say that she is blowing it up is an understatement. She is from Balazzo Vante. Jerry Good is actually in the house tonight to watch her prodigy, and Summit coach is Galvin Salisbury. So let's just take a peek at what she's been up to. When Jalie was, she started actually in 2019 as an associate, hits the floor, COVID, got through it, 2021, more than doubles it, on a trajectory currently as we speak to hit 100,000 in the next 12, and she's doing that inside of 32 hours a week. So today, to say that she's making big boom boom is an understatement. She is a level 4, 23 years old. When she was on last year, she was 21. Last year, her average ticket is 85. It's now cooking at 105. Last year when she was on, she was at $39 haircut. She's at 50. Last year, when she was on, she had 102 referrals for the year, and she's trending 10 a month now. So you do the math. About 120 this year. Last year, she's rebooking at 61. This year at 70, and her RTS is running at 16 points. So to say that she is making the cash register ring would be an understatement. I would say that would be an understatement indeed. Listen, if you're not following her on Instagram, I really would suggest it, because what she's going to talk about, I don't want to take any of her secret sauce away tonight, but I really wanted her to come on and really talk about what are you doing this year to make more of a difference than you were making last year. In other words, this year she's got a lot of nitroglycerin that she's pouring on a bonfire that she created last year, and you can see that she's doing a lot more eyebrow work. So if you want to follow her on Instagram, her handle is JalieP_hair, and I absolutely love how she is branding herself with both her grids, IGTV, reels, highlights, stories. I mean, she really knows how to take advantage of that platform. So she's in my green room now. Let's go get her. We'll have about a 10-15 minute conversation with her and see where it takes us. So give it up for her. Hi, Jalie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
You worked really hard today. You had absolutely no time to go home and prepare for the interview. So where are you talking to us from? It looks like one of the studios in the spa.
Yeah, I'm one of the Lash rooms.
So if we walk out of this sound-proofed Lash room, we would go out into the salon. Is the salon still open, or is it closed down yet?
No, we're open till 9, so there's people still out there working.
So you have a lot cooking. Well, good to have you back. I mean, it's just, we blinked and it's been 12 months. It sounds like you've just had a phenomenal year.
Yeah, I told you I'd be back.
I know you did tell me you would be back. So I was, you were in the green room, and you saw I kind of gave my community where you were a year ago. You've made some incredible progress. So I wanted to spend all the time with you tonight, exclusive to, from your mind, your secret sauce. What in the world are you up to that's been the nitroglycerin that you're pouring on this bonfire that you kind of built last year?
Yeah, I've just been really taking everything that I can that the salon's offering, especially like our add-on services at the shampoo bowls. We offer like a wide variety of deep conditioning treatments. So those range from $20 to $50. So we just brought in like a new hair care line, Kerastase. So they offer like the Fusio dose treatments. And my first week I added 8 of those on, and that added like an extra $250 to my book. So the deep conditioning treatments, offering those, facial waxing. I do a lot of the facial waxing at the shampoo bowls. And then I also offer eyebrow tinting at the shampoo bowl and lash tinting. So it's like an easy add-on while they're sitting there with like their conditioner or the treatment sitting on, or if their toner's processing, it's just something we can do in between, just so they're getting everything done that they want to. So definitely taking advantage of all the add-on services that are possible has really added to my books.
Well, what you just said in the last minute or so, I mean, there's a lot to that. I want to unpack it a little bit because
Yeah.
I think there's some really cool stuff that you're talking about. So what I heard is, first of all, add-on, and what's really interesting now is we're talking about the difference between, there's the type of add-on where you're laying an add-on service on top of a pre-existing service, but it's this add-on doesn't require any more time. So it's not like you need to run back to the book and make sure you got an extra 15.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the first thing I want to really get out is that the add-ons that you're talking about require no time, that you're able to put one or two of them inside of the same window of time. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
most of my clients are blonde, so they almost always require a toner, and that has to sit on for 20 minutes. So that's already calculated into the time I have booked. So I'll do the facial waxing, the brow tinting, and then a deep conditioner treatment only takes 5 minutes. So that's really no time at all.
All right. This is huge right there. What you just said, I think, is really, it's subtle, but it's profound. So you're saying, okay, on a toning service, that's a 20-minute process. But in that 20 minutes, you have an opportunity through a conditioning treatment, an eyebrow wax, and I know you're doing some other eyebrow services as well. You talked about the Kerastase conditioning treatment, and every single one of them can be done inside of the 20-minute processing of the toner, correct?
Not the deep conditioning treatment, that has to go after the toner, but it only takes 5 minutes.
All right.
But the waxing and stuff, that I can do that all within the toning period.
So how many add-ons? This is what's really interesting. How many of those add-ons can you do inside of a 20-minute tone? 1, 2, 3, typically?
Probably like 2 to 3. It just kind of depends per person what they want.
Yeah. So what's interesting is, pick one of those services right now. So if you were going to put an add-on inside of a 20-minute toning process, pick one that's got a higher ticket.
Like the brow waxing, and then I would do like a deep conditioning treatment right after I take the toner off, because that acts as their conditioner.
I love it. So but the price points on those two services are, what would those two price points be, those add-ons?
A brow wax is $16, and then a deep conditioning is $31.
Wow. So I'm doing the math. 41 and you got a $47 increase that's going to happen inside of that 20-minute toning process. And then you've got another 5 minutes on the back end of that, which really you're kind of putting in between let's just say it's part of the styling process, the finishing or whatever, but it's not going to throw your book off.
No, not at all. Like, you don't even notice it. So
this is phenomenal. Now, on a typical day, I know I'm kind of getting a little bit rigorous, but I think this is really important. On an average day, how many hours do you work in an average day? Is it 6 hours?
Most of my days are 7 hours, and then I have one 12-hour day.
All right, so let's just talk about in the 7-hour day. Inside of a 7-hour day, typically how many guests would you serve?
Probably 3 to 4, depending.
Okay, so let's just say 3 to 4 guests, and on those 3 to 4 guests, they're having some sort of process that's going to mean that they're going to be sitting and cooking, if you will, for 20 minutes, give or take. How many of those 4 would you say you lay 1 or 2 $16 to $31 add-ons on? All of them?
Pretty much almost all of them.
And that happens in real time. In other words, when they come in, I couldn't tell by looking at your book that those services are scheduled. You'll have those conversations somewhere, what, in the consultation, in the front end, and your clients go, oh yeah, go ahead and do it. Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, no, I'll have a consultation. They'll tell me if there's any problems, and if they don't really say there's any problems, when I'm kind of like putting the color on their hair, we kind of talk a little bit more about their hair. And then if they still like are kind of hesitant when I'm at the bowl, I'll be like, do you want to do a deep conditioning treatment? And I just kind of like tell them all the perks to having it, and then it only takes 5 minutes, so they're not going to hear any extra time. So just kind of like,
yeah, you're making it real convenient. It's not like they've got to look at their mobile to see what they have cooking. It's like, no, this is not going to throw whatever your rhythm is for the day after this. So finding more time is not an issue. Now, how does the price point, how do you take care of that? Where let's say that they were going to take you up on a $31 treatment. When's that get brought up, and what's your verbiage for kind of navigating through that?
Most of the time when I'm putting on their toner, I'll ask them, I'll be like, do you want to go ahead and try out one of our deep conditioning treatments? I have this one that would be great for your hair. I know your hair's kind of frizzy, or it's kind of thin and you want to make it feel thicker, or since we did such a heavy blonding service, this one's going to repair your hair, put that protein moisture back into it. So it's going to feel a lot better, add tons of shine. It's only $31 and it only takes 5 minutes. So yeah, go ahead and do that.
That's key. So you'll lay out 3 or 4, 5 benefits. We're going to be able to do it in a 5-minute window, and your investment is only an additional 31. So the last thing you mentioned is the price point, and by then you've built enough value where your guest is able to make that decision and not get stuck in their head with it. It's like, oh yeah, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, because as I'm saying that, they're like, oh yeah, you're right, my hair is kind of dry, or maybe that will help combat my frizz problem, all that. So now they kind of got those thoughts in their head that like, yeah, I should probably do that.
And and what the stuff that you and I were chatting about is and correct me if I'm wrong, were you into lash lifting last year? I don't recall you mentioning that.
No, that's actually pretty new. I think I started it the beginning of last year or this year. I started at the beginning of this year. I think in March I started it.
And what's the price point on a lash lift?
A lash lift and tint starts at $99.
Whoa. So now I'm assuming that requires an additional window of time.
Yeah, it does. So it takes about 40 to 45 minutes.
Now, so that would be, I would call that, while it's an add-on, it's an upsell only because it requires more time. So do you need, I'm assuming that you look at your book to see if you've got a 45-minute open window. So if you bring that up, if you see that you've got that window, all of a sudden you can start baking that into the consultation that, by the way, I've got an additional 45. If you have 45, let me talk to you about what a lash lift is and what it looks like. Is that kind of sort of how you roll?
Sometimes if I might have a cancellation after, or when I'm booking, I'm like, do you just want to do your lash lift and tint now so you don't have to come in at another time? Or when they are booking their appointment, they'll be like, can I just get my hair done and a lash lift and tint when they're scheduling with me? So when I do a lash lift and tint and a hair service, I usually book 2.5 hours to 3 hours, depending how long your hair is.
I love it. See, because there's so much cool stuff in what you're sharing right now. So as kind of an educator, I'm unpacking it a little bit. So sometimes it'll get handled when they're scheduling their appointment, right?
Yeah.
And let's say that they schedule, whether they schedule online or they call in and you see that they're down, but you see that either you got a cancellation right after them or it's not filled yet. What do? DM them and just let them know that you've got that extra time so that you can see if you can get it handled before they're showing up? Like when do you communicate with them before they come in, that you have that window of time?
Yeah, I'll usually just like message them because most of my clients do follow me on my social media, so it's really easy to contact them. So I'll just like message them and be like, "Hey, I have like this opening if you want to add that on after we do your hair."
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so let's say that you did 7 or 8 lash lifts last week. I'm just kind of making this up. How many of them would get booked before a guest is in, which is different than, gee, I had a cancellation, I got this window to fill in, gee, and my guest is not down for a lash lift, I'm going to see if she would be interested in. We talking about out of 7 of them, 5 get handled in the booking before they show up, and the other 2 handle in real time. Do you ever kind of have a sense as to how that works?
Not really. It's kind of hard like to tell because I am so booked up. I don't always have those openings. So a lot of time they kind of have to break up their appointments, like get their hair done and then come back for a lash lift and shit.
Right.
So
but it sounds like you're always kind of scanning your book. Like you now have the eyes to see that, okay, I have this opportunity for a lash lift that hasn't been booked yet. She's coming in this afternoon, tomorrow, the next day. I think I'm going to DM her, mention that, and see if she wants it. But that's always on your radar. You're always kind of navigating, scanning, crawling your book to see where are those opportunities. And a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of stylists don't. They just, that when they look at the book, they're not seeing what you're seeing. They don't have the eyes to see those opportunities.
Yeah, I'm always kind of looking a few weeks ahead. Like usually once I get to this week, like this week's done, over with, filled, like has what I need to. So I'm already like moving out to the next couple weeks. So then like those clients, like they're like, oh yeah, I do want to do that, so they can prepare to spend that extra money. So it's not like sprung on them or anything.
This is what's really interesting and what I'm curious about. And by the way, to the people that are watching this, Jalie and I did not rehearse this. This is like this is organic. This is happening in real time. So I'm asking her questions that she hasn't had time to think about, and this is why I think this what makes this conversation so extraordinary. So what I'm curious about as an educator, because your typical stylist, I'm going to call it, they don't have the eyes to see. Like when they look in their appointment book for, opportunities, whatever it is you're seeing, they don't see it. They're going, looks like I'm booked, right? Where do you remember when and where and how you kind of like developed those eyes? Did it come out of practicing your planning? And all of a sudden, it's almost like you're kind of like hunting for it. You develop that eye. And what I'm curious about is, do you remember when and how your eye got developed?
Honestly, I think it kind of just developed during my associate program. When I would be like planning my book with my associates, especially Katie, she was very adamant on be like, okay, well, this is what we're doing, and this is the add-on service that you're going to offer to everybody, no matter what, to see if they want it. So sometimes it would be like a brow wax, like offer everybody a brow wax or offer everybody a paraffin treatment. So I don't know. I just kind of from her, because she's the add-on queen.
Because you answered the question, and I wouldn't have guessed that would be the answer. So you're saying, once upon a time, when I'm an associate for Katie Vargo, who I interviewed not like the week or the week before, you were her associate, and she's saying to you, look, here is these are the must-haves. Every single guest that I have, assume that they're going to need these treatments and get them added on. And it was you then, through that tutorage, if you will.
Yeah, it
Tutoring.
just became a mindset at that point.
Right. Yeah, you can call it, whether you call it a mindset, I call it, you get the eyes to see, so that you brought those eyeballs with you when you
Yeah.
hit the floor. So now as you're planning your day, looking at the opportunities, those contact lenses were put on your eyeballs when you were an associate.
Yeah.
Wow. And so I'm not going to guess. I'm going to ask you, your average day now is running at what would your average day typically be on a 7-hour day?
I feel like it usually falls around like the 700 mark.
Okay. So at the 700 mark, that's what it ends up. What I'm curious about is what that day would look like on the beginning of the day. So do you typically show up at a $500 day and it turns into a 7 because of the conversation that we're having, or under normal circumstances, this day would be 400 or 500 if we didn't have the eyes to see?
Yeah. Usually it's around like 500, 600, just depending. And then it usually ends up finishing the day off around 700.
So this conversation that we're having is really a conversation about, because you see it this way on a typical day by this kind of chairside manner, you're always leaning in and lifting up your day another $100 to $200 a day.
Yeah.
And you work 4 days a week. Is it 4 or 3?
Yeah, 4 days.
4. I mean, I'm doing the math. So 2 times 4, you're making every week $800 better.
Yeah.
Right, than your typical stylist, which is kind of a what you see is what you get. You know, I take the $800, I multiply it times 50 weeks. I mean, that's a lot of money. Right? I mean, I'm looking at probably another 40,000 in service dollars that you would not have without that. So another $20,000 in income, if you will. It's phenomenal. Well, before I wrapped around this, one of the things that I saw in your notes was you're using social media now, Instagram, to get the kind of clients that you want, your ideal client. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is specifically you're doing on Instagram to hunt? First of all, what is your ideal client? And maybe we've just been talking about it for the last 25 minutes. And then how are you using Instagram to find those clients?
My ideal client, I feel like, is like myself, somebody kind of around my age, or like my mom's age. I don't know, somebody I can connect with.
Yeah.
Most of my clients are around my age, college kids, just kind of like in their 20s. So it's really easy to kind of connect. And then, since social media is such a big thing in our generation, like if I take a picture of their hair, they usually post a selfie and tag me. So then their friends follow me and then they want their hair done. So almost like 80% of my referrals come from my social media, which a lot of it is just like word of mouth from their friends. But yeah, just kind of like following them, interacting with them. I kind of just like look for people I would want to be friends with. Like, that's pretty much it. Like,
Right. Well, I'm looking at I'm actually going to your page now. So as I look for your page, what there it is there. So you've got just under 1,000 followers, and you're saying most of your clients follow you on Instagram, whether it's your clients have been repeats or you're getting most of your referrals from Instagram. Yeah. So I would say that you probably got 300 of your 900 clients on your Instagram following you are your clients, and you've now have kind of created your own, whether we want to call them a muse or your ideal client on here, so that when you have clients that are people that are shopping around, they look at your grids, they look at your highlights. They're looking at just anything, and they're able to see, oh, wow, I'm on your IGTV and I'm seeing your lash lift services and how you're branding yourself there. And I would imagine that's how they're finding you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely just like doing all the things like tagging stuff, hashtags, promoting my pictures, everything like that definitely benefits me. So
Wow.
I always like make sure I have stuff posted and lots of interesting stuff because I mean, most of the time now, like people, they're not going to book with you unless they see your like your pictures, what they are
Right.
going to get themselves into.
I love it.
So
Well, listen, we're out of time, but I'm gonna get you to make a commitment to come back to see us next year. I have a feeling when I see you next year, you're gonna have and I know at Balaza now they go 5, 6, 7 rather than using the A's. Isn't it 5, 6, 7?
Uh, yeah, they do 5, 6, 7, but it's also kind of like the A's as well.
Right. That if you're a 5 or a 6, you're working with an associate.
Yeah.
So next year, I would imagine you're going to be doing that. I want to have you back and just catch us up, and promise me
Yeah.
you'll do that. Also, I'm doing some new podcasts on Tuesday mornings of next year. I beg your pardon, Monday mornings of next year in 2022. Promise me you'll come back as one of my podcast guests.
Yeah, just let me know when.
All right. Well, I know you had a big and long day, so I want you to get home to your fam, and we're gonna give it up for you one more time. Jalie Palko. Thanks, Jalie. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
Holy wowzer. Did you like that? I mean, that was, I was I was geeking out with her quite a bit, wasn't I? I mean, I wanted her to really drill down and get clear on what it was specifically that she was doing to really add, to get her to double her income and then get her to on a trajectory of 100 grand. And what I heard her say is, really, if you can't be a Jedi at managing your time in the book and looking at the opportunities, and it sounded like the genesis of where she learned that is not only when she was an associate, but she was being tutored or educated or mentored by somebody that her educator. And so those eyes were developed, and what did she call it? A mindset. She was always looking for opportunities. So it's almost like she inherited that when she was an associate from her educator. Huge, huge, huge. And as a result, she's taking advantage of those services. She was talking about treatments, facial waxing, lashes, brow tinting, and figuring out how to make the most money with the time. I loved what she said is, if I got a toning service that takes 20-minute process, that I'm going to look for 1 to 2 add-ons that I can lay inside of that 20 minutes, which is probably another $20, $25. And then she says, and if I can find another 5 minutes after that, that add-on is worth $40. So she, there's a time she was probably finding $60 to $70 in add-on dollars that she was putting inside of a 25-minute window. I'm going to suggest that an untrained hairdresser, that's just not how they're wired. That's not the cloth that they're cut from. So the conversation was extraordinary. And she even says that, $160, it takes 60 minutes. So inside of that, she was earning $2.60 a minute. I mean, you start doing the math on that, that's, she's probably at $130 an hour. I mean, there's some that's what some attorneys charge, for goodness sake. So she's and then she's using social media to attract. She's really figured out how to use social as her muse. So I just loved how the ride she took us on. I want you to give it up for her one more time. All right. So you're watching Michael Cole, Millionaire Stylist, on Facebook. This is recorded. It can live. It's going to live on this page for a while. You can do the rewatch if you'd like, or turn somebody else on that didn't see this that you think would help, especially if you're a Summit Salon owner. We will be editing this and putting it on my IGTV station, if you will, as a micro learning. I'll probably have 3 or 4 4-minute micro learnings of this, because tonight she kind of gave us a training class, right? And that can be found on Michael Cole Millionaire Stylist on Facebook. But while you're on that page, if you go to my bio link tree and you click it, you're going to see all of my gamified calculators. The calcs are now catching on. It's just like it's on fire. There's just thousands and thousands of stylists that are using my calculators. The Dream Machine Calc, the Magic Day Calc, the Golden Goose Calc, the Debt Free Calc. We call them the Behind the Chair Millionaire Calculators, because these are calculators that help you to set the pertinent goals you're going to need if you want to be a millionaire before you're halfway through your career as a behind the chair service provider. That's no longer is that a dream. No longer is it even a possibility. It is a probability. It's a strategy. And these calculators are what you use to get you there, or part of the tools to get you there. And how much are there? They're not. They're all compliments L'Oreal. So a commission stylist, self-employed, doesn't matter. This will help you to build your wealth. It'll help you to make money. The Dream Machine shows you how to get to a very, very high double, 5-figure income, 6-figure income inside of 20, 21, 22 hours a week. The Golden Goose Calc is about saving money, and the Debt Free Calc is about paying off your debt. That's how you become a millionaire. High income, save money, be debt free, get that done before you're halfway through, and now you've got a lot more to show for your commitment behind the chair. Again, compliments of L'Oreal. You should be taking care of. You should be taking advantage of that. Have a brand new .com, summitsalon365.com, which is a .com that we're putting all of our online video courses on. And I have 3 courses that I've developed. There is the social media course. Then we have another one called Top 20 Wellness, Emotional Wellness, and we're in the process of putting the 3rd one on, Top 20 Mental Wellness, or what we're calling Mindfulness for Life. It's a subscription site. Once you pay your monthly subscription, you can watch and rewatch. They're phenomenal content. So get involved in that for sure. If you're new to the community, set up a virtual consultation with one of 100 of our summit coaches. So the overwhelming majority of coaching we're doing now is done online. It no longer requires, drive time, an airplane, an Uber, a hotel. So we are now able to coach you online. Take advantage of that. We'll schedule a virtual consultation for you to show you what's possible. Last but not least, we always like to end expressing gratitude. Summit Salon Business Center is an exclusive business partner of L'Oreal Professional Products. These are L'Oreal's brands. We have Biolize, we have Pulp Riot, Kerastase is a higher end, Pureology, L'Oreal Professional, Redken Matrix Hue, and Mazzani. To the degree that these brands are your brands, and these brands are the brands of your clients, L'Oreal is able put in a position where we would refer to L'Oreal as we're powered by L'Oreal. So we're able to bring you this content and digital tools, compliments of L'Oreal. So please, please, please support us in that way. It's one of those ideas that are for the good of all and the harm of none. Great night tonight. Going to let you get back to what you were up to, and we will see you again next Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock for another Michael Cole Facebook Live.